It's Jason Abraham, this shadow teacher, and I want to continue on the theme of understanding evil. And now we're going to look at a scenario. Say you are a light worker and you have yielded to temptation. You have yielded to the tug of a selfish desire, and you have set foot on the dark path. And now, demonic, lower dimensional astral beings are attached to you, and they're pulling you, and you are feeding them with the actions that you have chosen that feed that dark, selfish desire. And you keep going back and back to that same action, that same behavior, that same obsession with manifesting this desire, and you know it's wrong. There's part of you that knows it's wrong, but you're at a point now where these dark beings have attached to you, and you can't tell what voice is your own and what voice is something else. And the higher self, the Christ consciousness, it's still there, but it's more like a whisper. It's very silent. And I'm sharing this from my own experience, how that feels, because there's a chance you may be in this situation. You may have been there, and you may be there again. And what it feels like, again, is you keep rationalizing, you keep lying to yourself and giving yourself reasons why you are entitled to manifest this desire, that part of you is saying that it's wrong. And there is tension in your body. There are places of tension that are in your body. And if you observe, you feel these feelings show up, then that can be an indication that you're on this path. And voices in your head keep pushing you forward. You become obsessed. But again, you feel that tension. And that is because you are a light worker, but the forces of dark, they are giving you some really heavy resistance training at that moment. So again, getting free of this is going into your powers of observation, your powers that you build from meditation, from sitting with the tension within yourself, sitting with it. And you just have to have a practice that allows you to take notice of this. And then you start to label it. You call the devil out. You label the demon that is pulling on you. And you learn this because this demon is going to speak a language. And the language is going to show up in emotion. It's going to show up in a drive inside of you. And again, when you made that relation with Christ consciousness, the Christ consciousness, it's trying to steer you away from that. So you'll have a feeling, there'll be a charge when that emotion shows up, but again, there's some dissonance there. And you take note of that, and you label it. And then you start to see the consistency of when you start to want to go into this one selfish action that's related to this particular entity that wants to make a home in you. And the next step of freeing yourself, again, like I said, one of the powers of the dark entities is they confuse you. You can't tell initially what's your real voice, what's a true desire, and what is the desire of theirs. And they did this because your ego wants something. The small self wants its very selfish, egotistical desire, and then these demons start to attach to that and feed that if you go too far down that path. But again, what we're doing now we're starting we need to disassociate with this action. We need to disassociate it and realize it is not us, that we are not this desire, we are not our thoughts, we are not our emotions, that we are something more. And when you start to disassociate, then the tug again starts to lessen. And the next step is remembering, is connecting to that Christ impulse, because that voice is now going to have more space to communicate with you and steer you away. And when I've been going through this, I have not, when I was facing this, I wasn't powerful enough to do this by myself. But that's essentially the process that I went through. I needed a lot of support. I needed support of other people who were qualified to help me, and people who truly loved me, who had my best interest at heart. So that if I didn't have them in my corner through these long processes when I went into those spaces, I very well could be a messenger for the dark right now if I'd gone down that path, or not be here at all. But thankfully I had people who loved me, and there was part of me, again, that Christ impulse was pulling me towards the help that I needed. It was always there. It wouldn't let me go down this path to the extent that I wanted to go. So this whole process, again, first sitting with this feeling of dissonance, acknowledging that maybe this desire isn't right for you, entertaining that thought, because you'll know the good ones. The good ones you have, there's never a disconnect between your head, your heart, and your gut. But the ones that are selfish, your head might want it, but your heart and gut may say no. That's how you feel it in your body. Your gut, your visceral self might want it. You might want to fuck, but your head says no, this is a bad idea. Your heart says no, this is not good. Or your heart may be into it. You may want to give all of yourself, all of your being to this one thing that's just going to pull you in a bad place and eventually corrupt you. And your head says no, bad idea. Your gut says no. So again, acknowledge that, acknowledge the feelings, label the actions, the emotions, the behaviors that are associated, that's pulling you there. Then disassociate with it. Realize it's not you. Disconnect from it. And then finally you connect with that Christ spirit, and you exorcise it. You cast the devil out of you. And remember who you are and what you came here to do, what you came here to be. And I'll leave you with that. Class dismissed.